Felix's POV Sunday, 9:14 a.m. Literally 2 minutes after I woke up. I was still half asleep, cereal stuck to my chin, when my horoscope basically threatened my bank account. I blinked down at the glowing notification like it had crawled out of hell specifically to inconvenience me. A new fortune will tie itself to your future. Don't ignore the first man you see today. He affects your finances and your marriage prospects. I stared at the screen, then at my cereal bowl, then back at the screen. What kind of mafia-coded message is that? I muttered, dragging my spoon through my cereal like it was personally responsible. The app buzzed again, aggressively. This is fate nudging you. If you ignore it, you'll regret it. I read that one out loud too. Yeah? Well, fate can pay my rent then. I wiped a milk drip off my chin, talking to the spoon because nobody else was awake to witness my downfall. This is what I get for letting Margot convince me horoscopes add fun to my mornings. It's Sunday. I should be unconscious, not being threatened with marriage. My phone buzzed again. This time the delivery app. A package had been dropped off. Right, my new kitchen scale. The one I didn't technically need, but told myself would fix my life. I groaned, slid out of bed, and padded toward the door, still holding my cereal bowl like a toddler who never learned how to multitask. Pajama shorts, hair a mess, spoon in my mouth. I yanked the door open, and the universe didn't even wait a second to screw with me. He was standing right there. Neil. Well, technically, Neil from next door. The cold, quiet guy I'd only seen maybe 3 times in the hallway. And every time he looked like he was either in a rush or allergic to human interaction. This time, he wasn't rushing though, because he was shirtless. Completely shirtless. Holding my box. My mouth worked before my brain did. Holy, okay. He raised an eyebrow the way people do when they're half awake and already annoyed. His voice was low, almost gravelly in that just woke up way that made my brain fizzle a little. Your package, he said, offering the box with one hand. God, even the way he said it was infuriatingly calm, like this wasn't the most embarrassing second of my entire life. I tried to take the box. Instead, I stared at him like an idiot. A lot of things hit me at once. His collarbone, sharp and stupidly symmetrical. His chest, lean, not overly sculpted, but toned in a way that looked lived in, not gym-obsessed. His jaw, defined enough that I actually felt my cereal spoon tilt dangerously. He cleared his throat. Are you going to take it? Right. The box. I reached for it. My brain chose violence. So I guess I have to marry you now. Silence. Absolute silence. His hand froze mid-air. What? He said, not even blinking. I swear I'm not insane, I blurted, gripping the cereal bowl like it could anchor me to reality. My horoscope said the first man I see today is tied to, like, money and marriage, and this sounds worse out loud. His expression didn't change much. Maybe his eyebrow moved an inch. Maybe. So your solution, he said slowly, is to propose at 9 in the morning, half-dressed, covered in cereal? I'm not covered in... I touched my chin. I'm mildly decorated, okay. He looked down at my spoon. And holding breakfast. It's emotional support cereal. A beat passed. His mouth twitched. Not quite a smile, not quite annoyance. Something neutral but warm enough that my stomach flipped. And that terrified me. Maybe that's why I panicked. Or maybe I'm just wired wrong. Either way, I took the box, squeaked out a noise that was supposed to be thanks, and slammed my door shut so fast the air moved. The second the lock clicked, I let out a noise that probably violated noise regulations. Oh my God, I groaned into my hands. I paced, then sat, then paced again. I dropped the cereal bowl on my couch and buried my face in a pillow because this is what adults do when they ruin their lives before 10 a.m. I kept replaying it. His voice, his confused face, his everything. Why was he shirtless? Why was I awake? Why did I talk? And I hadn't even said thank you like a normal human. I grabbed the pillow again and sank into it. Great, amazing, perfect. Now he thinks I'm proposing because a horoscope bullied me. My phone buzzed. Another notification from the Horoscope app. See? We told you not to ignore fate. I turned my phone face down like it disgusted me. This was supposed to be a quiet, lazy Sunday. Instead, fate shoved a shirtless, annoyingly attractive neighbor into my morning and told me to marry him. And the worst part? My heart hadn't stopped racing since I shut the door. Days in, I'd convinced myself he forgot the whole marriage thing. Until I bumped into his bare shoulders again by the communal trash chute. It was Tuesday morning, way too early for human interaction, and I was still recovering from Sunday's humiliation. I'd been lying to myself for 48 hours straight. He won't remember. People forget weird hallway encounters. He probably thinks you're a sleepwalking lunatic and nothing else. I was humming that lie on repeat when I walked into the hallway holding a tied-up trash bag. I turned the corner. My trash bag hit something warm and solid and very, very shirtless again. Neil turned his head slowly, like he was genuinely considering whether I was stalking his torso. His hair was damp, dripping slightly onto the collar of his gray sweatpants. A towel hung around his neck. He smelled faintly like clean soap and something cool, almost foresty. My brain short-circuited. "Oh God," I blurted, stepping back. "Are you allergic to shirts? Is this a medical thing? Should I call someone?" He stared at me. The corner of his mouth twitched. "I came from the shower," he said, voice low and steady like always. "People don't usually wear shirts in the shower." "Right. Normal people." "Ha. Yeah, cool." Why was I still talking? He shifted the trash door open with one hand, effortlessly, of course, and tossed his bag in with this smooth, quiet ease. He made throwing out garbage look elegant. "Who does that?" He nodded at my bag. "Yours." "Oh." I shoved it in, narrowly missing my own foot. "Thanks." A beat of silence. I swallowed, then forced myself to speak like a functioning adult. "So, the other day?" His eyes flicked to mine, very calm, very unreadable. "Yes," he said. "About the proposal." He exhaled slowly through his nose. "If you say that word again, I'm moving out." My stomach plummeted, then flipped, then did something illegal. "Right. Got it. Retiring that word. Forever." He nodded once like we'd made a legal agreement. Then he walked past me. And somehow, that stupid 1-second walk past me made heat crawl up my neck, because he moved with this quiet confidence that made everything I felt way worse. The cafe, mid-morning Margot, my bestie, an influencer who uses me as her prop most of the time, whom I narrated the whole Neil incident, took one look at me and nearly spat her latte out. "You're joking," she said. "You seriously proposed?" "It wasn't a proposal," I hissed, slamming my cup down. "It was a reflex." "A reflex," she repeated, eyes bright like she had just found a new toy. "To marry a half-naked stranger in your doorway?" "He wasn't half-naked," I argued weakly. She raised her eyebrow. "Okay, fine. He was 80% naked." Margot leaned back, grinning. She was all messy curls and big hoop earrings and zero subtlety. "So, what's the verdict? Is he into you? Does he hate you? Have you seen him again?" "Unfortunately," I muttered, dragging my hands over my face. "Multiple times," she squealed. "Oh my God, did he bring up the marriage thing?" "Why would he bring up marriage? He, in fact, threatened to move out if I said the word again." She choked, laughing. "King. No. Bully." I paused. "Annoyingly attractive bully." She slammed her fist on the table. "I knew you found him hot." "I never said—" "You didn't have to. Your face is telling me everything. That blush is criminal." "It's not blush. It's stress." "Yeah, Romantic stress. I groaned into my coffee. Over the next few days, it felt like Neil and I were magnets someone held too close. Laundry room. I walked in carrying detergent. He was folding towels with military precision. He nodded. I nodded. I dropped the detergent. Elevator. He stepped in. I froze. The doors closed. He said, "Going down?" in that low voice, and my brain melted. Pizza delivery mix-up. The delivery guy handed him my box. Neil knocked on my door holding it. "This is yours." "Oh, thanks. Sorry again for existing." "You apologize too much." "I'll apologize for that too." He didn't laugh, but his mouth did that barely there curve. I noticed things. Too many things. The way he always held the elevator door for slow walkers. The way he fixed the Wi-Fi router in the lobby when it glitched. The way he carried Mrs. Carlin's grocery bags was like they weighed nothing. The way he nodded instead of talking. But somehow the nod meant 3 different things. None of it made sense. None of it should have mattered, but it did. Way too much. It started because Margot dared me one day when she was visiting my place. Yeah, she was bored and wanted entertainment at my expense. She said, "If you're so unbothered, prove it." So I wrote a note and slapped it on his door. "Hubby, buy milk." I figured he'd rip it down, but nothing happened. Next day, silence. He didn't react, didn't mention it, didn't even glare at me. I almost convinced myself he hadn't seen it. Until I got home the following night and saw a piece of paper taped neatly to my door. His handwriting was clean, sharp, annoyingly precise. "Please stop before management thinks I'm harboring a lunatic." I almost died laughing right there in the hallway, but beneath the laughter, something tugged at me. He'd read it. He'd responded. He'd paid attention. And the weirdest part? His note didn't sound annoyed. It sounded familiar, dry, warm beneath the deadpan. My chest tightened in this stupid, inconvenient way. I stared at his handwriting for a long minute, heart thudding unreasonably hard. A few days ago, I was positive he hated me. Now I wasn't so sure. Weekend later, Margot swore filming my humiliation was research, but the internet decided to make us soulmates anyway. She was sprawled across my couch, one sock on, one sock missing, spoon deep in a tub of mochi ice cream. Her boba cup sat on my coffee table, sweating all over my mail. She'd already critiqued my plant, my rug, my life choices. "Your apartment is depressing," she announced, mouth full. "You need a man in here, preferably one with a six-pack." I didn't need clarification. "You are not talking about Neil," she smirked. "Why not? He's conveniently located. Hot, mysterious. Hot, silent. Hot." I threw a pillow at her. "Stop objectifying my neighbor like he's a dessert." "You literally said collarbone 5 times this week," she shot back. Before I could defend myself, footsteps echoed in the hallway. Heavy, familiar, controlled. Margot perked up. "Is that him?" "Margot, don't..." Too late. She was already tiptoeing toward my door like a gremlin. I grabbed her hoodie. "No filming." "I'm not filming," she lied, raising her phone. "I'm documenting." "What?" "Anthropology." "Margot..." She swung the door open with a flourish as she lived here. Neil was out there tossing his keys into his palm, hair damp again. This time from rain, not a shower. Dark hoodie, joggers, that same controlled, quiet posture. He froze when he saw us. His eyes flicked to Margot's phone, then to me, then back to the phone. "What is this?" he said, voice low with mild dread. I stepped into the doorway before she could get closer. "Ignore her! She's invasive!" "Bold," he replied. "Considering you taped hubby, buy milk to my door. That was a social experiment. On who? On fate." He stared at me like I was exhausting. Then Margot hit a record. "Our marriage is struggling. I blurted when Margot glared, giving me a cue. Neil immediately looked done. We're not married, I shrugged. See? Divorce already. Neil pinched the bridge of his nose like he was fighting a headache he didn't earn. Margot squealed quietly. This is comedy gold, I sighed. She's deranged. Don't give her attention. Neil didn't. He just turned and headed down the hall, muttering, I regret leaving my apartment, I called after him. You'll miss me when I'm gone. No, I won't. Margot clutched her chest. He's dark academia coded. I'm uploading this. What? No. It's private, she promised. Just for our group chat. She pressed upload before I could tackle her. I didn't think about it again. Big mistake. What I didn't know was that Margot's group chat included several micro-influencers who reposted it with the caption, accidental marriage goals. By midnight, 3 TikTok accounts with millions of followers had stitched the video. And by morning, hashtag accidental husbands was trending. The next morning, I woke up to my phone vibrating non-stop like it was being electrocuted. Hundreds of notifications, DMs, tags, comments. I opened the app and nearly dropped my phone. 500,000 views, 80,000 likes, comments exploding. OMG Sunshine X, grumpy IRL. I want what they have. The chemistry? Neil is husband material for real. Slow burn gold, I'm dying. That man is so into him, but pretending not to be. My face got hot, like actually hot. I whispered to myself, okay, but they're not wrong, which was dangerous, because it wasn't supposed to reach out. Oh, Margot, the thing you do, but reading those comments did something to me. People saw connection. People saw something I tried not to name. Before I could spiral, someone knocked. Hard. I opened my door a crack. Neil stood there holding his phone in one hand like it was radioactive. His jaw was tight, eyes sharp, hair sticking up like he'd run his hands through it 1,000,000 times. You realize people think we're actually married? He said. I winced. Technically, you're welcome? He stared at me, deadpan. Felix. Okay, I said, hands up. It wasn't supposed to go public. Margot uploaded it. I didn't know until this morning. He exhaled, slow and heavy, turning away for a second. Not angry. Not exactly. Something else. I stepped closer. Hey, I'm sorry, really. He didn't look at me yet. He stared past me down the hallway like he was bracing for the world to come crashing in. I don't like attention, he said quietly. Not sharp, not annoyed, just honest. My chest tightened. I know. I should have stopped her. He shook his head once. It's fine. I'm not mad at you. Which felt worse somehow. What's bothering you? I asked, softer. He hesitated, and that hesitation told me more than words. He wasn't scared of the joke. He wasn't even scared of me. He was scared of being seen. I don't want people making stories out of my life, he said finally. I get that, I whispered. I swear I'll get it taken down. His eyes flicked to mine, and for the first time, they weren't guarded. They weren't stoic. They were vulnerable. Just for a second. It's okay, he said. Just tell your friend to chill. I'll put her in a timeout. He almost smiled. Good. I swallowed, realizing something dangerous. The internet saw a slow burn, but standing here, inches from him, hearing the strain beneath his voice, seeing how carefully he chose his words. It didn't feel slow. It felt like the beginning of something I wasn't prepared for. Something that scared both of us for completely different reasons. A full week later, I was finally starting to breathe normally again. Or at least I thought I was. Until I grabbed the envelope in my mailbox and tore it open mid-sip of my morning coffee. The moment I saw the header, Mr. and Mr. Moore Houston, I literally choked. Coffee straight up geysered out of my nose. What? What the hell? I whispered, staring at the page like it might rearrange its own letters if I glared hard enough. My last name was sitting there, next to his. Hyphenated, official, government stamped. My hands went numb. Then I panicked. And obviously, because my brain is wired incorrectly, I sprinted across the hall without changing out of the pajama shorts that should have been illegal to wear in public. I started pounding on Neil's door like I was being chased by the FBI. He opened it mid-yawn, hair messy, wearing a shirt that was definitely too big and definitely unfair. "Felix, it's 7 in the morning. Did your stove explode or—" I shoved the paper at him. He blinked. Twice. "This has to be a mistake," he said slowly. "Then why is my last name glued to yours?" I shot back. He breathed in hard, jaw tightening as he scanned it again. "Who did you email this week? What did you send? Did you sign anything without reading it?" I threw my hands up. "I don't blindly sign papers anymore. Not after that gym membership incident. Yeah, that story is for another time. For now, guys, let's focus on the current blunder." "That was 3 months ago," he muttered. "And I'm still traumatized." He pinched the bridge of his nose. "Just get dressed. We're going downstairs." The building manager looked like she'd been awake for 72 hours straight. Her hair was in a bun that had reached the I give up stage. "I'm so sorry, gentlemen," she said, flipping through a stack of printouts. "There was a clerical error with the domestic partnership registry forms." Neil's voice flattened. "What kind of clerical error accidentally files a marriage?" She winced. "Remember that building survey you both signed last month about utility preferences? The back page included a domestic partnership registration that required signatures. We've been encouraging roommates to register for tax benefits. The system flagged you as cohabitants based on your email chains, and when your signatures were scanned..." "You mean we accidentally signed marriage paperwork?" I stared at the floor. "Who puts that on the back of a utility survey?" "Budget cuts," she explained weakly. "We combined forms. The fine print mentioned it." Neil pinched the bridge of his nose. "Neither of us read the fine print." "I'm afraid not many do," she admitted. Neil turned toward me, eyes sharp. "Why didn't you tell me the building kept emailing you about us being a power couple?" "I thought they were jokes," I hissed. "Who gets legally partnered by survey documents?" "You? Apparently, you." Atnal. We ended up sitting side by side in the family court clerk's office, stuck in 2 hard orange chairs that seemed specifically designed to ruin spines and reputations. The building manager had explained we needed to file for annulment through the court system, and this was just the first step. The clerk looked us both up and down like she was judging whether we'd eloped drunk. "So, you're here to file the annulment paperwork?" she asked, tapping her pen. "You'll need to see a judge to finalize it, but I can process your initial filing today." "Yes," Neil said, firmly. "Absolutely," I echoed, though my voice cracked because the universe hates me. She squinted at us. "You don't look divorced." "We're not," Neil started. "We're not anything," I added quickly. I. Uh-huh. She didn't believe us. I leaned toward Neil and whispered, "Should we hold hands so she believes we're real people?" He shot me a deadly side eye. "Don't." Before I could respond, a camera clicked. I jerked around to see a local blogger crouched in the doorway, snapping photos like this was some scandal. "Oh my God! Neil, she's taking pictures!" Neil's jaw clenched so hard I heard it. "Can you not?" he snapped at the blogger. The woman ignored him and kept clicking. And that's when it hit me. My stupid jokes, my dumb flailing, this whole circus. It wasn't just embarrassing. It actually messed with him, his job, his image, his life. And he still came with me, sat next to me, dealt with this disaster I kicked off. My stomach twisted, not with nerves this time, but something heavier, something sharp, something like guilt, something like wanting to protect him back. By the time we got home, the photos had already spread. Newlyweds file for annulment after accidental marriage. Hot neighbor drama turns legal. The internet had chosen violence. Brands started contacting Neil again. My coworkers started calling me husband. And Neil. He just closed his door quietly and didn't say anything for the rest of the day, which somehow hurt more than yelling would've. Because for the first time ever, I actually wanted him to talk to me, maybe even look at me, maybe even not hate me. And when I lay awake that night, staring at my ceiling, I couldn't stop hearing the way he said, "Felix," in the clerk's office, tired, frustrated, a little protective. And for the first time, that didn't scare me. It made me want more. That night, just when I was finally settling into the idea that maybe the internet would stop calling us accidental husbands, the whole building suddenly went dark. Like, dead dark. A thud echoed somewhere upstairs. Someone cursed in the hallway. Water pipes groaned like a ghost doing its taxes. I sat up, heart immediately jumping into stupid territory. Neil. He worked late. Always. And if he was editing something, he'd be staring at a dead screen in a pitch-black room, probably clenching his jaw until it cracked. Before I could talk myself out of it, I grabbed the leftover lasagna from the fridge, lit a candle I stole from my aunt's self-care basket, and marched across the hall. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again, louder. "Neil, you alive? Blink twice if you're stuck under your desk." The door opened a second later. He stood there in the dark, the faint light from my candle hitting the edges of his face. His hair was messy again, like he'd been dragging his hands through it. He looked tired, but not annoyed, just quiet. He glanced at the candle, then the lasagna. "What exactly is happening right now?" I panicked, I admitted. "Also, you probably haven't eaten." He didn't argue, didn't roll his eyes, didn't poke fun at me. He just stepped aside. "Come in." Inside Neil's apartment. It was the first time I'd ever been inside, and honestly, it felt like stepping into a different world. His living room was clean, minimalistic, everything in black or charcoal. A single plant sat by the window like it was doing emotional labor. There were no photos, no decorations, nothing warm. It was quiet and lonely. He closed the door behind me, and the soft flicker of my candle filled the space with a warm glow that made everything look softer. Not romantic, just gentle in a way that made my chest feel weirdly tight. Neil nodded at the couch. "You can put the candle there." I set it down, then held up the container. "And dinner? Midnight snack? Emergency blackout survival ration?" He actually huffed a tiny laugh. "Lasagna is not a survival ration. Tell that to my grandma." He took the container from me without sarcasm, without hesitation, just acceptance. And something about that made my pulse jump. He sat on the couch. I sat beside him, leaving a safe gap, mostly for my sanity. He took a bite, then another, chewing slowly, thinking. "This is good," he said. "My grandma made it. Still counts." The corner of his mouth twitched like he was trying not to smile. The silence wasn't heavy anymore. It wasn't awkward, just warm. "So," I said softly, "is this what your apartment always looks like? Or did you hide the evidence of crimes?" He snorted under his breath. "It's always like this. Minimalistic. Empty." I looked at him. "You don't like having people over." "Not really." "Why?" He stared at the candle flame, jaw tight. "My ex used my apartment for photos." My chest stilled. "Photos?" For his image, for clout, for whatever made him look domesticated, I guess. His voice dropped. I didn't realize it until I found out he was selling brand partnerships behind my back. My fingers curled into my lap. "Neil," he shrugged in that small, defeated way that said he'd carried this alone for a long time. You're the first person I've let in here since him, he said quietly. Something inside me snapped in a way I didn't expect. I swallowed, throat tight. Guess I didn't help with the whole viral chaos thing. He looked at me then. Really looked. It wasn't all your fault, he said, and you didn't do it to use me. My voice came out low. No, I didn't. His knee brushed mine. Not accidental, not intentional, just real. The air shifted, warmer now, thicker. I felt my breath lodge somewhere between my ribs. I leaned in slightly, my body moving before my brain caught up. It wasn't a kiss, not even close. Just easing forward, drawn to him without meaning to. But I stopped, because pushing wasn't right. Not now, not when he was opening up like this. I pulled back an inch, trying to breathe normally. Neil watched me, not annoyed, not confused, just soft, present. Like maybe he was letting me see something he never let anyone see. His voice was quiet. You don't have to pull away. My stomach flipped. I just don't want to rush something you're finally trusting me with. His eyes flicked to my mouth for half a second before he looked away again, resting his hands together. We're not rushing, he said. We're talking. And somehow that felt more intimate than any kiss could have been. We sat there, our knees still touching, the candle flickering between us, shadows moving across his face as he'd stepped out of a secret I wasn't supposed to know. And maybe he wasn't ready for more, maybe I wasn't either. But for the first time, I didn't want to leave. Not his apartment, not his side, not this moment. 3 days later. 3 days. That's how long it took for everything to fall apart. 3 days since the blackout. 3 days since Neil let me into his apartment. Let me see the quiet parts of him, the wounded parts, the parts he didn't show anyone. 3 days since his knee brushed mine, and I genuinely believed something was shifting between us. So of course I had to ruin it. Margot's last few videos had tanked so hard she was practically bleeding followers, which explained why she grabbed my wrist a few days later in the morning and begged, Felix, please, I need this. The last time your face showed up in my content, I hit 600,000 views overnight. She meant the video of Neil and me in the hallway. The one she'd secretly filmed for fun. The one that went viral. The one that made her money and turned my life inside out. That's how I ended up standing in a rented studio under blinding lights, while she pitched it like it was nothing. Margot had pitched it like it was nothing. Felix, relax. It's a fake wedding collab for charity. Everyone's doing it. Wear a tux, say some scripted vows, get a check and a cute selfie. I hesitated. After what happened with Neil, I know I messed up before, she admitted, her usual confidence faltering. But this is different. This is controlled, scripted content for a good cause, not sneaky filming. Her eyes softened. I promise I learned my lesson about boundaries. I wouldn't ask if my sponsorship contract wasn't on the line. Please, one last favor? I'd known Margot since college. She'd helped me through my worst breakup and held my hand through my dad's surgery last year. She made mistakes, but she'd always been there when it mattered. I sighed. Fine, one last time. I agreed. Because it really did sound harmless. Stupid, but harmless. The studio lights were bright, the tux was itchy, and the influencer co-host kept calling me Viral Hubby Guy, which should have been my first warning. I treated the whole thing like a skit, a joke, because that's what it was supposed to be. Then the live stream started. Then the fake vows started. Then I said something dumb like, I promise to honor and cherish. Because that was literally printed on the cue card. Laugh track. Emojis exploding on screen. Harmless. Until I saw his name. Neil Houston, watching. My blood went cold. My stomach dropped like a stone. Suddenly the tux wasn't funny anymore. I ran home after the shoot, sweating under my suit jacket, heart slamming into my ribs like it wanted out. I knocked on Neil's door. Nothing. Neil, can you just open for 1 second, please? Silence. I tried again the next morning, and the next. He opened once. Just once. Barely. He didn't look at me. Didn't lift his eyes off the floor. His voice was flat. I'm busy. That was it. Door shut. A hollow thud echoed, straight through my chest. It took me 2 days when I finally caught him in the hallway, keys in his hand, hoodie pulled up like he was trying to disappear. Neil, wait, my voice cracked. Please talk to me. He stopped, slowly, like it physically hurt him to do it. He didn't face me when he said, "What do you want, Felix?" I swallowed hard. I didn't know you'd see that live stream. That's the problem. His voice was quiet, sharp, heartbreaking. He turned then, eyes dark and tired. You don't realize you've become one of them. I flinched. One of who? The people who use me, who think my life is a bit, who take pieces of me and turn it into online content. I never meant to make fun of us, I whispered. There is no us. That one hurt. It actually felt physical, like someone twisting a fist behind my ribs. He stepped back, jaw set. You made me trust you, and then you made me look stupid on the internet again. I swear I didn't. But he was already walking away. He didn't look back. Not once. My apartment felt too big without his quiet across the hall. It felt too bright, too empty, too wrong. I sat on my couch with my tux still on, jacket half off, hair messed up from running my hands through it over and over. The silence was loud, like a pressure in my head. I kept staring at his door through the peephole, waiting for footsteps, a shadow, anything. Nothing came. I pulled my knees up to my chest and exhaled shakily. I missed him, stupidly, ridiculously, like we'd gone from strangers to something unnamed and important. And now the space between us was a cliff I couldn't cross. I didn't mean to hurt him. I didn't even think I could hurt him. And now he wouldn't even look at me. For the first time since this whole cursed horoscope mess started, I felt something like heartbreak settle slow and heavy in my chest, and it hurt more than I expected, more than it should have, more than I could ignore. A week later, it had been a week since Neil walked away from me. A week of strained hallway silence. A week of me hearing his footsteps through the wall and freezing every time, hoping maybe he'd knock. He never did. So I went looking. Not because I thought I had the right, honestly, I probably didn't, but because my chest wouldn't unclench until I tried. The rooftop door creaked when I pushed it open. The wind slapped me in the face immediately, cold and sharp like punishment for being stupid for so long. And there he was, sitting on the ledge, hoodie up, shoulders hunched, staring at the city like it held answers he couldn't get from anyone else. My heart jumped. Actually jumped. I forced my feet forward, not too close, not looming, just enough. I sat a few feet away, my legs crossed, palms flat on the concrete to keep from reaching toward him. He didn't move, didn't look at me, but he didn't walk away either. I took that as permission. Hey, I said quietly. His jaw tightened, but his eyes stayed on the skyline. The silence stretched, but it wasn't empty. It felt like he was waiting to see what version of me showed up. The joke, or the person who'd sat in candlelight listening to him talk about his past. I swallowed hard. Neil, you made me believe in fate. He let out a soft laugh, the first one I'd heard in days. It wasn't mocking, more like disbelief mixed with relief. Felix, you don't even believe in waking up on time, he murmured. Yeah, I admitted, smiling weakly. But I believe in you. His breath hitched. Barely. Just enough. I turned toward him, forcing myself not to touch him, even though my fingers twitched. I'm sorry, I said. Not the ironic kind, not the dramatic kind, just sorry. His shoulders loosened an inch. I didn't think, I whispered. I didn't realize the joke stopped being funny for you, and I should have. He finally looked at me, and the ache in his eyes was worse than any silence he'd given me all week. Felix, he said softly, I care about you more than I meant to. My last boyfriend. He destroyed my trust in a way that now I hardly could trust anyone. He used me and discarded me like I never meant anything to him. He broke me, Felix. The words hit me so fast I forgot how breathing worked. Then why won't you let me fix this? I asked. He didn't answer. He just reached out, slow, almost nervous, and let his fingers brush mine, just barely. The smallest touch, but my whole body went still. I didn't grab his hand, didn't close the space, didn't ruin it with a joke. I just let our fingers stay there, warm against warm, like a promise we weren't ready to name yet. The wind rustled his hoodie. The city lights flickered on glass. Time felt weird, stretched and held together by that tiny bit of contact. He leaned closer. Not much, just enough that our foreheads almost touched. His voice was barely a breath. Don't run from this. I'm not, I whispered. And then he kissed me. Not dramatic, not rushed, not the finally kind of kiss people write poetry about. Just soft, gentle, earned. His lips were warm, steady, cautious, like he was afraid I'd break again. I kissed him back just as quietly, matching him, letting the moment be simple and real. When we pulled away, he kept his forehead against mine, his fingers curling properly around mine now. I exhaled shakily. I missed you. I know, he said. I missed you too. The rooftop wind didn't feel cold anymore. 4 weeks. In 4 weeks. 4 weeks since the rooftop kiss that basically rewired my entire brain. 4 weeks of, I don't even know what to call it. Dating? Almost dating? Accidentally married by paperwork but actually in love? Whatever it was, those 4 weeks were stupidly good. So when I got home that evening and saw the courtyard lit up like someone tried to summon an angel with fairy lights, my first thought was, oh God, did management finally snap about the Wi-Fi router I taped to my window? Then I heard kids screaming, "Proposal! Proposal! Proposal!" I froze, literally froze. My grocery bag slipped right out of my hand. Mrs. Carlin stood near the fountain, gripping a confetti cannon like she'd been waiting her whole life for an excuse to fire it. And right under the fairy lights, dead center of the courtyard, was Neil, in a suit. A whole actual suit. He looked like someone had shoved him into it against his will, but somehow he still made it look stupidly good. His jaw was tight, shoulders broad, eyes locked right on me, and he was holding a mic, like a weapon. My soul left my body. Felix Moore, he said into it, the sound echoing through the courtyard. Stop hiding by the laundry line. I wasn't hiding. Okay, fine, I was absolutely hiding. Everyone turned to stare at me. Someone clapped. Mrs. Carlin raised her confetti cannon like a threat. I forced myself to walk forward, legs half numb, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my teeth. When I reached him, Neil let out a breath like he'd been holding it for an hour. He lowered the mic a little. His voice was quieter now, but somehow heavier. You started the fake marriage, he said, watching me closely. So I figured, might as well make it real. My brain short-circuited. Are you? I blinked at him. Are you actually proposing to me in front of the building? He deadpanned. I literally rented the mic. That was it. I was done. I felt my face heat up so hard I probably glowed under the fairy lights. He continued, his voice steady in that annoyingly comforting way. Felix, I want this. I want us. No jokes, no viral chaos. Just, he swallowed, you. And I swear my knees almost gave out. So I did the only thing that made sense. I threw my arms around his neck and said, Hell yes, I'm in. Mrs. Carlin fired the confetti cannon so close to us we both flinched. Kids started cheering. Someone from the third floor yelled, "Finally!" like they'd been betting on it. Neil wrapped his arms around my waist and pulled me in closer, forehead against mine. His voice lowered. "Guess your horoscope wasn't dumb after all." I laughed, breathless. "Guess not, husband." He kissed me. Soft, sure, warm. The kind of kiss that felt like a yes to everything we hadn't even said yet. And under those ridiculous fairy lights, with confetti raining down and neighbors cheering like we'd won a championship. It felt perfect. Epilogue. 6 months later. 6 months later, and I still can't believe I'm somebody's husband. Like legally, on paper, with witnesses who still bring it up at every block party. I swear the universe has jokes. So yeah, 6 months later, and you'd think things would calm down after the whole fairy light confetti neighbors screaming proposal fiasco, but nope. Living with Neil is basically living with a hot, grumpy, overachieving cat who learned how to flirt in morally questionable ways. This morning was a perfect example. I woke up to him hovering over me like some smug gargoyle. "Rise and shine, more. You look biteable." This is my life now. Biteable comments before coffee. I shoved my pillow at him. "You can't say things like that before breakfast. There should be laws." "There are laws," he said, leaning down to kiss my jaw. "I married you. I can say whatever I want." And tell me why my face still gets hot after all this time? I'm a grown man. I should be immune by now. I am not. We've fallen into this stupidly domestic rhythm that genuinely scares me with how much I like it. Neil makes coffee like he's building a nuclear device. I accidentally drop a mug every other week. He kisses me like he's about to ruin my entire day in a good way. I trip over the dog. He smacks my ass in passing. I yell. He smirks. It's a cycle, a good one. Today's special event was the courtyard barbecue our neighbors insisted on having because, apparently, they miss wedding energy. Mrs. Carlin keeps telling people she discovered us like we're a boy band. When we walked into the courtyard, Neil slid his hand into mine without looking, thumb brushing the inside of my wrist like it was instinct now. For a dude who used to look allergic to feelings, he's gotten way too smooth. And me? I'm still clumsy enough to trip over a potted plant while waving at someone. "Jesus, more," he muttered, pulling me upright. "I can't believe they let you walk around unsupervised." "Why'd you marry me then?" "Tax benefits," he deadpanned, then kissed the side of my head. "And because you look cute when you almost faceplant." I hate how that still hits me right in the chest. Later, when the crowd thinned out and the fairy lights came on just like the night he proposed, Neil tugged me toward the spot where he'd stood with the mic like it insulted his bloodline. "Remember this?" he asked. "Remember? I'm still getting tagged in videos." He stepped closer. His voice dropped low, warm. "Best decision of my life." I swear my knees almost gave out. Again? 6 months in, and the man still short-circuits my entire system. I kissed him first this time. Slow. Certain. The kind of kiss that says I know exactly what I want. When we pulled apart, he whispered, "Still think your horoscope is dumb?" I grinned against his mouth. Nope. Turns out it was right. I did fall for an emotionally constipated workaholic. "And you married him," he said, pulling me in. "Your problem now, husband." Honestly, it's the best problem I've ever had. The end. If someone lit up your whole neighborhood with fairy lights just to propose after months of fake dating chaos, would you say yes? Or run for your life? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to become part of our Rainbow Force, and consider joining our membership for early access and exclusive content. Stay wholesome.